Hello, my name is Jesse Rivera, and for this week's post, I'm going to be doing a brief overview of my research project. What I'm researching is religion and the impact that it had on our founding fathers. So my research question was, how did the individual religion of the founding fathers impact their ideology and also impact the contributions they made in creating our country? This was a time at the founding of our country during a significant religious awakening, and these were the men that were responsible for not only developing the process and documents of our country, but also in setting precedents that would impact our nation for years going forward. So I was interested to look to see the different religious backgrounds of some of our founders, such as Jefferson, Adams, Washington, Madison, Franklin, and many others, and seeing how their faith and their religious background impacted the works they did in founding and the early development of our nation. So one of the things that I thought that was pretty interesting in finding my sources was that there's a lot of research on this topic, and it was interesting reading the different texts, whether they be primary or secondary sources, and seeing how different historians' interpretations of the founders' faith differed. One example was an article that I got by an author named Derek Davis, and he was talking about Thomas Jefferson and the wall of separation metaphor. In his argument, he argued that the metaphor was to ensure that religious groups, that the federal government wouldn't establish a national religion or interfere with their personal rights to worship freely. But he did say that he believed in his argument that it did not, Jefferson was not arguing in this famous letter to the Danbury Baptist Association that there should be no interference, but maybe just a strict accordance in both parties. Another book that I read was by Daniel Dreisbach. It was reading the Bible with the Founding Fathers. This was pretty interesting because it really focused more so on the Bible maybe than individual founding fathers, and about the impact that it had in significant times during our nation, especially during the founding of our nation. It does talk about how the founders had a relationship, their individual relationships with the Bible, and how that may have impacted their views. Another thing that I thought was really interesting in doing my research was sometimes the contradictions that they held. Probably, again, going back to Jefferson, he was probably the one that was cited the most that I found in my research, where authors would talk about his personal beliefs and maybe what he did publicly and how they didn't always match up. And they talked about Jefferson's editing of the Bible, and again, he took out a lot of the miracles and kind of supernatural piece of the Bible, but really focused on the moral teachings of Jesus. So there's a lot of information on there, and I know that was a quick summary, and there's a lot more to go through, but it's been very interesting so far and has helped me have a better understanding of the background of our founders and what they believed and how it impacted their public life, even though sometimes there were contradictions to what they did privately.